Converting decimals and fractions. You can convert a decimal number into a fraction or a mixed number by read it, write it, reduce it. For example, 8.4, converting it to a fraction, first read it, 8 and 4/10. Write it just like you heard it, 8 and 4 over 10, and then reduce it. 4/10 reduces to 2/5, so 8 and 4/10 reduces to 8 and 2/5. So let's give it a try. 2 and 5/100. So 2 and 5 over 100. Write it just like you hear it. Now think of what reduces 5 and 100. The biggest thing that goes into both would be 5, so you're going to divide by 5 on both the numerator and the denominator. And don't forget to bring over your whole number, so you get 2, and then your fraction will be 5 divided by 5 is 1, 100 divided by 5 is 20. And then you have 2 and 1/20 is now in simplest form. About 24 and 35/100. So 24 and 35/100, so 35 over 100. Again, this one happens to be, there would reduce by 5. So divide by 5 in both your numerator and your denominator to find simplest form. Keep your whole number, 24. Now reduce your fraction. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 24 and 7/20. Now to convert a fraction to a decimal, the one thing you need to remember is to divide. So for example, convert 7 and 2/5 to a decimal. First, take your fraction, 2 over 5. So 2 goes in the house. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. 5 doesn't go into 2, so add a decimal and a 0. Bring up your decimal. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract down, and you're done. So 4/10. Now, don't forget your whole number. Here's your 7 right here. So we have 7 and 4/10. So let's give it a try. 5/8 as a decimal. So it's the top one, the numerator goes in the house. 5 divided by 8. 8 won't go into 5, so add your decimal and your 0. 5 goes into 50 6 times. Subtract down and you get 48. You get a 2, add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 20 2 times. Subtract down and you get 4. Add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. Subtract down, and you're done. So 5/8 as a decimal is 0.625. Alright, let's try 4 and 3/5. Now there is a little trick here. If you have a fraction that can be converted to tenths or hundredths or thousands, then it's a little bit easier. For example, you can see that you could use equivalent fractions here and get 5 times 2 would be 10, 3 times 2 would be 6, 6/10. Now use your knowledge of fractions and decimals, and we know that's 0.6. Don't forget your whole number, 4 and 6/10. So using division works every single time, just like we did up here. But sometimes you're lucky and you can change to tenths, hundredths, or thousandths, and it's a little bit easier using equivalent fractions. Either way is fine. You can do the same thing with several fractions and decimals. For example, order from least to greatest, 3/4, 55/100, and 7/10. If you can change any of your fractions to decimals, that's usually the easiest way, but you can change them all to fractions or all to decimals. So 3/4 as a decimal is 75/100. Use your T-chart, 75/100, 55/100, and 7/10, put in your 0 to make them easier, and then you can see that they said least to greatest, so this would be your first, second, and third. Now, when you answer the question, put them back in the original form, 55/100, 7/10, then 3/4. Here are some fractions and decimals to memorize: your tenths, your half, of course, fourths, thirds, and fifths, and then eighths, if you already know the others, are also good to know.